I'd like to introduce another Carey School alumni, Deane Brown, and her Panther Points of Pride video.
Hi, my name is Deane Brown. I graduated from Carey High School in 1970. I grew up 4 miles south of Carey, the property that's now owned by Randy Park. And the road didn't go by our house in those days. There was a sharp curve right there at Dusty Simpson's property that went directly to the west. And so it was down a dirt lane with a gooseneck crook in it that we were always snowed in, always. I do remember when we got the new school, and oh, we were so excited because I went to first grade in a one-room schoolhouse, second grade in another one-room schoolhouse, third in another room, and not even attached to the main old high school. So they were just these little schoolhouses. One of them now sits on the fairgrounds, and I think that's where they have the special projects that people enter in the fair. That was one of our schoolhouses. So when I was in the 8th grade, we built the new school, and it was so exciting. We thought it was huge. Now I come back to it every week and I think, whoo, this is kind of little, but we were really excited about the new school, and the town was very proud of what they had put together, and I was too. Well, I've thought about this because you did show me the questions earlier, and it's really hard for me to just choose one. So being a little bit of a rule breaker, I chose 2, and I'll tell you why on each one. Mr. Peck was just a wonderfully patient teacher of mine. He took time to take us to Twin Falls for different area competitions that we have. I remember going to Boise with him on a bus to a competition, and I sang in the choir and also did clarinet. And he was so patient with us, and we were a little rowdy, so I loved Mr. Peck. And we did a lot of Christmas cantatas and stuff, and he always made that fun. A special thing that he did for the whole town that, I don't know if you could do that nowadays, but we took a school bus, might have been 2, and as many loaded on it as could get on it, and he took us to Twin Falls to see the Sound of Music. And the whole town went, parents, families, children, and we unloaded off there at the Orpheum, and he made all those arrangements, and I just thought we'd gone to New York City. So I loved Mr. Peck. The second teacher that I really loved was Lynn Stewart. And he taught me math and chemistry and trig, and I think he started my passion for numbers. So yeah, he was the principal, a little stern, and not that none of us didn't visit his office from time to time, but he was an excellent teacher, very patient. Well, I was a bit of a tomboy, and so I would have to tell you my best friends were Rob and Milo, and Edward Thatcher, Bill Hunt, Dana O'Crowley. We just, our parents did some things together. Tom Farnworth, they played cards about every night. And my parents were in a Western band with some of the Pecks and Meekums. And so we were together a lot just because of that. So had a lot of friends that way. And I enjoy them, and I enjoy them to this day. They've been lifetime friends. Oh, I'm so glad you're asking me, John, and not Dude Green, because we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun, and I was thinking our little community was more closed then. You didn't go to Twin Falls a lot. Everything was right here. We had a nice dry goods store, 2 or 3 cafes. Everything you needed was right here. If I wanted to buy material for, let's say, home ec, I could stop after seminary, buy yard goods at Adamson's, sew it up that day. And so I loved our little town, and I've been thinking about that. I love to listen to the song by Bruce Springsteen, I Was Born in a Small Town. And I'll live and die in a small town. I don't live here now, but this is where I'll end it. We've bought our lots here in Carey, and we did lots of fun things. A lot of events at Berdina Peck's. I still say, I don't know how she afforded the grocery bill, because we had something there all the time. Berdina always had a chocolate cake on and a pot of beans, and so we played a lot of cards. One particular fun thing that I remember doing is we decided to make homemade root beer once. So we all loaded in the car and we went up to Beatrice Meekham's, and we made the root beer and we bottled it up and put it in her dark closet. Well, life got busy for us and we didn't think about it again. In about 6 weeks, the top started blowing off those root beers. And Beatrice knew that the root beer was done. A lot of fun things. In the winter, we ice skated and we hooked our skis on behind cars and skied down Main Street. In the fall, we fought with tomatoes, rotten tomatoes in cars, and we just made our own fun in this little town. Well, what I really wanted to be was a stewardess. I love meeting new people. I love traveling. In those days, there were definite guidelines, height guidelines, as far as what you had to be, and you had to be at least 5'8". So being 5'2", that was shot down. I couldn't do that. And so my mother was an accountant, and I've always had a passion for making figures work. And so I went to Ricks College directly after high school, and when it all boiled down and I got through with everything, I actually ended up being a loan officer, lending money. And so I did that for 35 years, had a career. I'm now fully retired. I just chase grandkids now, but I still love numbers. So, okay, directly after graduating, about 5 of us went to Ricks. And I remember meeting with my representative, my counselor, and he said, "Deane, I think you'd just be a natural in the court system." So I took a major of shorthand, and I'd never had shorthand in Carey High School. So it was probably one of the first times I ever had to dig in and catch up. But I did, and I loved that. Graduated from Ricks. Went to work for the district judge in Haley. It was very exciting times then in the early 70s, lots of good court cases. Blaine County was a great place in those days to come for one of those 6 weeks divorces, so it was a fun job. Then I got married, and Deane and I went and worked at Utah State, and he finished. I've also worked for the State Deaf and Blind School for the bursar, purchasing and receiving, and then ended my career with USDA Rural Development. You know, I really do. And I did it those times too. And I think one of the really good things about a small town and a small school is I felt loved in the community. I knew all the parents. The teachers were so hands-on. They knew each of us individually. And I remember the only subject I ever had any trouble with at all was geometry. And that one was a tough one. But other than that, I came out, I think, with a wonderful education. My roommates were all military girls, and they had excellent educations, and I'd made it through just with them. And I would have finished and got my bachelor's, much to my dad's dismay. He wanted me to finish. But I got this great job at the courthouse and was making these big bucks, you know, so I quit. And then I met Deane. I would say if you have a dream, get yourself into a position where that can be attained. Why can't you do it? Other people do it, so you've got to position yourself. You know, it's kind of like growing a garden. You don't plant a garden and put the seed into asphalt. You put it into the best soil that you can find. And that's the way it is with growing kids. Surround yourself by good friends. I think that's really, really important, and chase those dreams. If you want it, you can get it. There's a way to get there, but you've got to position yourself in a good spot. Keep on learning. That's one of my passions to this day. I love to go and see new places and learn new things. Just last week, I didn't get to stop, but Deane stopped at the Golden Spike on the way to Logan, and he was telling me all about it, and we get a big jazz out of learning. I've always been proud that I was from Carey. How wonderful it is tonight that I can come up and meet with you and walk across the hall into the gymnasium and watch my grandson play ball here. And I have 3 of my 7 grandchildren now here in the Carey schools. My daughter's a teacher here. All of my children ended up being educators and wonderful people. They all work with children in one way or another. And I'm very proud of that. Most proud that I picked a good mate. Deane is definitely the wind beneath my wings, and he's always fun. And just a little secret, I mean, I actually met Deane, saw him for the first time in the old gym. He played in a band called the Pleasure Seekers, and they used to come up to Carey and play after the games and different things. And he was a lead guitar player. And I really that was the first time I saw him, and I don't know, you get that little so that was kind of fun that happened at home. I'm proud to be from Carey. I really miss Adamson's. That was heartbreaking to me because I worked for Bob and Irma during college and in high school, and I hope someday we get our grocery store back. If I win $1 million, I'll put in a grocery store. I'm Deane Brown, and I graduated from Carey High School in 1970. Go Panthers!